Here's an interesting topic. What do you guys think about this quote? You guys ready to rate this quote?
Yep.
Yeah.
One, you can't rate it a 3. It either has to be a 4. It's typical rules of the Not Our Finest Hour podcast. Let your negativity be your strength.
Is that a PK quote?
It is.
It is. That's.
Well, someone else might have said it, but I really publicized it.
And is this a 1 to 5 mediocre quote for a mediocre life, or is this like a 1 to 5? How good is this quote?
I'm saying I think the quote has a lot of relevance. Let your negativity be your strength.
Let your negativity be your strength.
If you see the world in a negative light, you'll work harder because you just know that everything's not going to work out for you, and you're going to get some fucked up pavers on a high demand job at the end of. So you got to kick ass. Let your negativity be your strength.
That should be in Boy Scouts. I feel like that's right up there with be prepared.
Be prepared. Let your negativity.
You should get a badge for that.
I am slowly becoming a dealer of negativity.
A dealer of negativity.
So many dealers of positivity. People say the internet is a nasty place. That's a fucking lie. The internet is full of just endless streams of ridiculous positivity where no one's being real about anything.
Are you saying that real life is negative?
It can be.
Oh yeah, definitely can be.
But if you acknowledge it, you're a bad person and you're a terrible influencer. But if you post the same stupid Denzel Washington clip over and over and over and over again into my feed every day, you're a great person. But when I post let negativity be your strength, I'm a horrible fucking motherfucker. I'm just saying. I think the internet is awash with ridiculously stupid positivity.
I tend to keep a lot of my negativity to myself, and there's a lot of it.
Spread it around, man. Spread it for everybody.
And I still think every day it's way harder for me to get something right than it is for everybody else to get something right.
I feel like business is for some reason vastly harder for me than everybody else. But then I realize it's me that's the problem. Well,
that's how I feel. That's exactly.
But it's me that's the problem. I am the common denominator in all the fucking issues.
In all of your problems, you're the common denominator.
Everything that happens to me is some stupid thing that I did. So if I'm the common denominator in all the problems, I guess I am a wash of negativity. I think I'm just tired of the positivity dealers.
Yeah, those days are numbered, I think.
No, because the harder times get, the more the positivity dealers will double down.
You just won't have so many positive things to show, though.
But no,
you're going to be writing about your fucking Rolex, and
you'll just find clips of Denzel Washington talking about how he made it. Recently, there's just been hundreds of clips of him. That's why but it doesn't matter. There'll be clips of Tony Robbins or clips of, and people just share them, or they share all these positivity quotes, and it'll just be a market of doubled down people of positivity who will say, that guy who's getting real over there, that guy who's giving that Coke Ultimate a shit review, that guy's an asshole. He's not positive about things.
But you'll find your audience. That audience that's looking for those Coke reviews, they'll flock to you.
Will they? Let's look at some positive quotes. I'm looking up some right now. Let's flush this with positivity. Don't follow your dreams. Chase them.
Ooh.
Fuck off. Fuck your dreams. Your dreams can suck it. Get real and go get a fucking job. If you cannot have a positive life and you can't have a positive life and a negative mind. Why is having a positive life so fucking important, bitch? Joyce Meyer, whoever the fuck you are. You're making an assumption that a positive life is important. Why? Why can't I have a negative life and then die? Why is no one promoting that shit? Have a negative life and then die. I was standing with a guy and we were talking about one of our drivers, and he's 74, one of the broker drivers. And I said, yeah, I have him on the straight run I have one repetitive contract run that he does every day because it's just easy for him. He's in a habit. He knows what he's doing. He knows everyone. And the client I was talking to said to me, wow, he's 74 and he's still out driving. And I said, yeah, he's still out there kicking ass, driving. And he said, man, when I'm 74, I want to be retired. And I turned to him and I said, when I'm 74, I want to be dead. And he was shocked.
Mike, that's only 25 years
He
to
looked
go.
at me and he was shocked. And I said, bro, I don't want to be 75. Maybe that's a negative mind. I was like, I don't want to be 75, man. I'm good. I've moved enough dirt.
Does that mean we've got 25 more years for this
25 more
podcast?
years, 100 episodes. Yeah. And then, all right, here we go. If you can imagine it, you can achieve it. If you can dream it, you can become it. This is just a plethora of absolute fucking crap of the positivity dealers. William Arthur Ward, whoever the fuck you are, give me a break. Inspiring positive quotes. Does that quote inspire you guys to be better, to do better?
No, I don't do well with positivity quotes.
Yeah.
Do you want this engraved on your coffin? Motivation is what gets you started. Habit is what keeps you going. Jim Rohn.
And this is what you got to look forward to at the mediocre meetup. What is it? What did you call it?
Hardscape ignorance.
Oh yeah, that's this winter.
If you change your mindset, you have the ability to change your whole world. This is basically saying, Damian Thomas, this is basically saying, if you ignore everything around you, you can change your whole world. If you change your mindset where you just ignore every problem you have and do nothing about anything, you can change your whole fucking world. That's what I read in there.
It'll definitely change, I think.
If you just ignored every single
ignore
problem,
everything. Yeah.
See, Chad, if you just ignored the situation and laid all the pavers, no matter how fucked up they were, and then cut them in, and then ignored the endless phone calls, and then ignored the lawsuits, you could have a positive mindset about that whole fucking experience.
They would ignore my invoice is what they'd do.
Well, there's always a consequence to the ignorance, but these people don't talk about the consequence to the ignorance when you're posting positivity shit. They don't talk about that consequence. They don't care that you're never going to get paid. They just want you to be positive about the fact the pavers are fucked up, and you can just lay them. Just just wish them better. If you dream it, Chad, you can achieve it. Just dream it. Just lay the pavers and dream that you're going to get paid. And if you dream hard enough and you swim with your little tail in the sea, you can fucking... Anyways.
That's a good way to make my whole business a dream.
Every day may not be good, but there's something good every day. This person is not a fucking hardscaper. Alice Morse Earl. Oh, here, Chad. This is a direct reference to your fucking situation. No matter what's happening, choose to be happy. Don't focus on what's wrong, Chad.
I'll be happy when the checks come in.
Find something positive in your life. When you were looking at that paver situation, were you saying to yourself, well, at least the sand, we didn't sand it yet?
I guess that's when the real problems come out.
That's when the real motherfucking problems start. We are never going to get a poly. I would love for a polysand company to ball up and sponsor this podcast.
They have to come on as a guest as well.
Oh, fuck yeah. Yeah, that would be great. They should definitely ball up and come right on this fucking podcast.
I want to go out and say the first 10 people to sign up for our, what is it? Our negativity course?
Ignorance
course.
Hardscape ignorance.
Get a free pail of expired joint resin compound.
Does that
Ooh.
expire?
Yes, it does.
Why would it expire?
It expires.
Expires how?
It expires. I don't know.
It's
I'm
not
a
food.
scientist.
I'm not fucking eating it. Comes a point
I'm not
where
asking you to eat it,
there
but there's
comes
an
a point
expiry
where
date on the pail.
don't
And I've
spread
got
disease.
10 of them.
Don't spread the disease to our pavers. Don't spread it. You don't bring that shit to my house. Who knows what the fuck's going on with that? My child has to play on that patio, and you are using expired joint resin? You are risking the lives of thousands.
Here's how I look at it. You know how you
fucking crazy.
Listen, hear me out. You know how you get that bag of polysand that's sometimes a little wet, but you spread it in anyway?
Yeah.
You're just like, it's okay. It's sort of at the bottom.
You're talking about
There's 10 more bags around it.
The half bag that was in the truck.
Sometimes you'll get the bag that's wet right out of the fucking middle of the pallet.
As the little air vacuum thing didn't work properly.
Whatever it is. But that same thought process where you're putting that little bit of wet bag in with the others, that's what we're going to do with the resin compound. The expired resin compound, we're going to mix it in with 10 good pails. But we're slowly going to feed the resin.
What?
It's expensive stuff.
At $100 a pail, we can't afford to throw it away.
Next time the pavers are fucked up and you can't lay them and make progress on the job, use the expired $100 resin pails as seats for all your guys. So they can
so we sit around.
They can sit around on the. I want someone to tell me what could possibly happen to make this shit expire. They tell you it's good forever if you put it in water in the pail.
No, it's good for another 30 days
it's like
or
a
something
month.
like that.
Yeah.
It's not. Yeah, it's not good. It's something about there's some gas in the bag with it, and the gas seeps out after.
What happens if you buy it expired? So does this mean when I go to buy this shit, I got to go to the?
Oh yeah, you got to check the dates.
Well, on my last job, I opened one up and dumped it, and it was rock hard, and it actually chipped one of my slabs as well. So that sucked.
You chipped the slab with the resin shit?
It was like a brick. It was rock hard.
Couldn't you fucking feel it when you?
No, well, it was like the 15th or 16th one I was opening, and I was just popping off the top and then kind of hucking them. So that one kind of just came out and heard a clunk rather than a boom, and it
and it rolled into the bottom of the pool.
It rolled into the bottom of the pool. So basically, what's happened here is resin for the last year has been basically the Easter of landscaping. The sand came back from the dead and it rose. And that's what resin had become. The all-out solution to every single fucking landscaping problem that ever existed. Get the resin. But now, not through personal experience, because I don't really buy hardscape products anymore, but through shared experiences on this podcast, I'm learning that I have to start checking the expiration dates at my supplier.
Well, does polysand have an expiration date eventually?
It all sucks. So what does it matter if some of it's expired?
Not that I've never heard of it having an expiration date, but maybe that's a new thing to help you throw away more.
Or just use it at the bottom of the jug.
It's like when they brought in the whole thing, you got to buy at least a layer.
Oh, yeah.
They used to package it in sections.
Oh yeah.
And you used to buy 3 sizes separate.
Yeah.
They still sell Brussels that way. Props to Unilock for at least holding true to something. Well, it's true. They held true to the old way, right? It's banded in steel and you pick it up in sections. And if you want so many XLs and so many whole stones and so many halves, you order it like that and you buy what you want. And they have laying patterns and you can alter the laying pattern based on it. That's how all random pavers used to be sold. But someone did the math and said, hey, if we put mixed sizes on a single layer and force people to buy layers, we're going to sell so many more square feet per fucking.
We'll sell a lot of squares because we're always left over with those squares.
Fuck squares. Fuck squares. Fuck squares in the whole. I think I made a bunch of Instagram posts about that once. Back when we used to do hardscaping. So now you guys are telling me that resin is not the savior that we all thought it was.
Well,
I still like it.
we're gonna use it this week. Not the expired stuff, but we're gonna get some more pails and gonna do a resin.
You're seriously going to walk from $1,000 worth of resin?
No,
No,
I
that'll be
told
used
you.
as a
I
giveaway.
told you what we're gonna do.
Yeah.
But we're gonna choose the right job to do it on.
Oh, okay.
But
A job where
maybe-
somebody's moving right away.
yeah, like you want this patio and you're leaving next year. Boy, do I have a deal for you.
But is the problem with the expired resin that it won't install properly, or the problem that Mike had where it was rock hard?
I don't know.
So in the past, like 10 years ago, this resin existed. You guys know that, right?
Elsewhere, not here.
No,
right?
here in Canada.
Here? Yeah.
10 or 12 years ago, this resin was promoted by one of the manufacturers.
Really?
I didn't know
Yes.
that.
It was, yes. And one of the problems that occurred with it was that people would buy pails of it and it was rock hard. That's why when this resin was re-released 2 or 3 years ago, it's like, I guess this is improved.
And maybe that's the whole idea between the plastic bag and the gas in the bag to keep it fresh.
Maybe.
Right.
I guess. So it was out before and it wasn't successful. And now it's back out again.
Was it the same thing where did you have to mix it at all? Like, was
No.
it a two-part? No.
It's the same thing in the same,
Wow.
Just-
not in the same big 5-gallon pails, but you know, some of it comes in those smaller pails.
Yes.
Different manufacturers have different pails. So those smaller pails existed before for a long time. Yeah. I don't remember what it was called. And now it's probably been washed from the internet. I don't even know if the internet existed last time it came out.
Wow.
But one of the problems with it was this whole, what Mike just occurred, where it would come out of the pail hard as rock. How did you open the bag though and not know it was hard?
Well, you don't open the bag. I just dump it out, right? I get all my bags set up in different areas, and then as I start installing, I start opening up the bags, right?
Okay, so you're
Pre-opening,
pre-opening the bags.
not the bags, just the buckets.
So you're not, so this way you don't have to go get a bag when
Yes.
it's already existing on the patio.
Yeah, just
How
doing one thing at a time.
This is probably the best thing that we're talking about on this episode. So this is how you set. Mike, describe in detail how you set up for a resin job, because I feel like this isn't how I do it, and I feel like this was a good idea.
I think if you're a one-person show, that you just do the one task at a time and you get as much done as possible. That's just what I've always done.
How does one person install resin sand? Because this is
It's-
always a 3-person effort minimum for us. Sometimes 2 hoses,
Yeah.
2
Well,
squeegee guys.
he also installs it in half the time you do. We know
Yeah,
from the quote that he fucking gave us last time.
yeah.
No, not when it comes to resin. That takes a
Do
long
you have
time.
do you have one of those brooms with the water that comes out of it?
I
you
don't.
Hose guy.
I do want one of those though.
We used
That's-
a broom for resin sand. Fuck the broom.
The hydro broom? No.
No, a regular broom. We were told, oh yeah, you could use a regular broom for
Oh,
this
okay.
stuff. Wow, that thing was hard as a rock the next day.
Oh yeah.
Straight into the bin.
Straight into the-
Straight into the
So-
bin.
How did you do it yourself, Mike?
How did I do it? The install?
Yeah.
I just gotta have a hose in one hand and my squeegee in another, and I just go at it.
Wow.
Could you tape the hose to the
I didn't
Broom?
know. I thought about something like that, some sort of fastening device, but then I would want it off the broom, and then that would be a pain.
you thought about calling in the firefighter for this?
No, usually I do
He
have
would be
somebody
good
with
with the
me
hose.
with the joints and compound.
Uh, I like the fact that you opened the thing and you threw the bag out and it hit and it chipped the slab.
Yeah, I didn't throw it too far because like the bags are pretty heavy, but from a from a height enough that it chipped the corner of my slab for sure.
Did you
And
take
then
the slab-
rolled.
Did you take the slab out?
Yeah, I had to. Yeah, it got chipped.
Did you have
Didn't
an
also
empty
have a
slab?
light drilled in the middle of the slab, did you?
No, there was no light. There was the slab next to it had the safety anchor, so that would have sucked because then I would have had to
Ah.
re-drill the
What's a safety anchor?
for the
Oh, for
safety
the
cover.
pool.
Yeah,
Oh, okay.
yeah.
How big was the slab?
It was a Blue Grande slab.
So how did you get those in and out by yourself?
Oh no, that wasn't. I do have help at times, so those are definitely somebody helps me.
Okay. So I was gonna say those are monsters, bro.
Yes, absolutely.
Like fucking monsters.
I'm past that age, I think, of doing it by myself.
I'm way past that age. Fuck that shit. And the horse it rode in on. Have we been doing that? Do we have enough or should we go through a couple more of these quotes?
Positivity quotes.
Things
We do
are
have
di-
one question that came in.
Oh, okay. Shoot.
Should we go with the question?
Yeah, go with the question.
All right. The Brickworks asks, would you buy a 2014 skid steer that was in great shape, but it has 11,000 hours on it?
11,000 hours?
For how much? For how much? I feel like me and Chad are gonna have differing fuck opinions on this thing. Doesn't say how much.
Doesn't say how much. How much would you buy it for? I guess that would be a good, better question.
2014?
Yeah.
What kind is it?
That wasn't in the Bobcat. Well, let's say Cat Bob.
Cat
Oh,
Bob.
fuck. You couldn't give it to me.
So I would look at it this way. What am I planning on doing with the skid steer? If I'm a smaller company, couple guys, and I'm looking for a full-size skid steer to literally just move the piles of bricks to a more convenient location on the job, and I'm going to use it for 5 or 6 minutes a day, where I'm just picking it up, moving it over, picking it up, moving it over. It's just for relocation of bricks. Like I'm not putting big hours on it, and it was a really good price, and it would move my jobs along, and I could pay cash for it. I would consider it because at 11,000 hours, probably a lot of shit's been replaced on it. And buying a brand new machine to move skids for 5 minutes a day is a tough swallow, especially today. That's what. Now, if you're going to use this machine, I just had this debate with Brad about a dozer. Should we buy a brand new dozer? Or should we buy, I found a D4 with 11,000 hours on it. That's 60 grand. Low ground pressure D4. So the problem is that over the last 9 weeks, we've used the dozer 50, 60 hours a week. So if I was using the dozer to push piles over for 6 hours a week, I'd probably think that the $60,000 dozer is probably a good idea. If I'm using the dozer 60 hours a week, I think I should probably just buy a new one. So I would say the same thing about that machine. That's my take. Chad?
I'm going to say don't touch a fucking 11,000 hour skid steer. That is too much. That's 11,000 hours that someone could have beat the piss out of this thing.
He said it's in good shape.
Yeah. Everything's in good shape until you buy it, right?
I agree with you.
Like,
that's the truth.
Oh yeah, we babied it. The oil changes are all good. And no, 11,000 hours, unless this thing costs less than $5,000, I'd say walk from the machine. Like your money is better off spent in a down payment on a new machine or a barely used machine, something that you can actually do everything that a skid steer can do.
What if you were putting a down payment on a $60,000 T595 that was located in Cornwall?
That would be a hell of a lot better investment at 1,000 hours than this machine would at 11,000 hours. It's just.
Would you be more if you were buying an 11,000 hour machine? I personally would be more likely to buy it if it was a wheel machine.
Yeah, I'd say I would agree with you there. I think, but I don't ever plan on buying a machine with the anticipation that it can't do what its normal task to do is, right? Like if you say, I'm going to buy this machine and it's only going to move brick, well, then I still have to float it to the site just to move brick. At the same time, I could float a skid steer that does lifting and
I'm talking,
pushing
but
and
I'm talking,
moving.
yeah, but I'm talking
Like-
about if you're a residential landscaper now I know he's from Toronto. And you have a full size skid steer, it's not fitting into 99% of the backyards you do. So mostly it's used to manipulate pallets of pavers to move them around to different locations so that you're closer to lay them.
So you move it to the gate and then walk it through the gate is what you're.
But yeah, you're moving it from the road to the gate, or you're doing a front yard and you're moving it from the road to the walkway instead of depalletizing things onto a mini skid steer.
Yeah.
Would you buy an 11,000 hour machine? You just bought a used backhoe. How many hours were on it?
5,600 hours.
But you bought it because it's mostly going to be in the yard, right?
Yeah.
So
It doesn't,
why didn't you buy a brand new backhoe?
because I don't have $180,000 to spend on a backhoe.
Okay, well, maybe he doesn't have $100,000 to spend on a skid steer.
Yeah, you're right. You're
Just
absolutely
saying.
right. But at the time when I need this backhoe to go out and dig trees and drive all over town and do topsoil work, I bought a machine that's not a piece of shit at 11,000 hours that can still do those things
But
if
there's
I need
someone
it to.
but there's someone that will argue with you that 5,900 hours is too much.
But doing my research, that's a mid-range level hours for a backhoe, right?
But there's someone who would say if it isn't brand new, it's shit. 59. I don't
That's
agree.
fine.
I agree with you. So I'm just playing devil's advocate. For the record, I agree with you. I think a 5,900 hour backhoe is probably a decent machine if it's been well taken care of. Backhoes are designed to do way more than 5,900 hours.
Yeah.
I agree with you, but I'm saying that just being devil's advocate, there is someone that will argue with you that 5,900 hours is a blown machine and there's no way it could be fucking good.
That's fine. Either that person has more money than me or
They probably don't.
is more broke than me
That would be for sure.
and is trying to act like they have more money.
Absolutely. That would be that person.
fine.
Yes.
You know?
I totally agree with you. Yeah.
There's two ways to look at that.
Or that person did what you're doing and has put themselves in a financial position. They don't have to do it anymore.
Yeah.
They don't remember what's fucking going on. And they're just buying new equipment because they can afford to buy new equipment now because they've been doing it for 30 years.
Yeah.
And they've paid off all their equipment and rolled it in so many times that they're rolling their equipment every fucking.
Which I think is a great idea. But you can't start rolling your equipment with an 11,000 hour machine.
No.
Right. So if you want to get that machine equity in there, you got to start with something better than that.
One of my arguments to myself about the 11,000 hour dozer was if it's worth 60 grand with 11,000 hours, it's probably worth 60 grand with 15,000 hours on it. It's just going to be worth 60 grand forever. The depreciation on it is done.
Like the backhoe that doesn't go below $25,000, no matter what.
That was a prime example, exactly what you were talking about. Yeah. And so maybe the 60,000 isn't the actual flat line for that dozer. Maybe it's more 45, but it's never going to be worth less than 45, probably.
Well, if you could run it for 2 years and make $60,000 with it, then it's not a big deal if you take a $15,000 loss when you eventually sell the machine, right? Because you're still ahead. You used it.
I don't think for what we're doing, it would run. If we were using it to push 10 piles a week and it ran for 2 hours a week just to do a quick cleanup once a week, we're talking like we've been running a dozer 50 hours a week for the last 9 weeks. I don't think that's the right machine for us anymore. When I started looking for dozers, I thought that was the right machine for us. But now I feel like that's not going to be reliable enough.
So you're in for a Minotaur now.
I don't know. I kind of now I'm thinking
an 11,000 hour Minotaur.
Yeah, that thing looked. Can you imagine what a Minotaur would look like after 11,000 hours? The steel tracks. Oh my god, I can't even fathom it.
I still want to see one in person.
One of the
Yeah.
things that does attract me to an 11,000 hour 2007 dozer is there's no emissions on that motherfucker.
True.
That is one thing that I actually find very attractive about that machine.
You could see it at H&A this October.
Ooh.
How are we getting there?
We need a
Well, we don't have a
sponsor. We need a
sponsor.
polymeric sand sponsor.
Palmer. Can you send some Palmeric Sand people this exact episode? Because I feel like this episode in particular, we've been pretty hard on it as a product.
I think more so the resin we've been harder on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The polymeric sand just got thrown in there because we're talking about.
I don't know that we
I
were hard
think-
on the resin. I just
No,
I
Okay.
think
think
we're
that-
being
I think-
realists.
yeah, we're not. Negativity is our strength on this podcast.
Now we're coming full circle.
That should be the title of this podcast. Negativity is
down.
our strength. Negativity is our strength, baby. We are not dealers in positivity here. We are dealers in realism. So you're saying no, you wouldn't buy the 11,000 hour skid steer?
I would not, unless like the bottom line is it's got to be a wicked deal. Like it's got to be. I'm not.
I would, if I felt like I could recoup my cost and make money on the skid steer based on the price within 500 hours of owning it, I would probably think about buying it.
Yeah. I'd be careful. The floor of the equipment market is teetering on the edge,
Yes. I agree.
and that 11,000 hour machine is about to go over before anything else.
How much does a Chinese excavator cost these days?
Oh, not as much as I paid. No, it's $9,400 takes it home. But no, it's
$9,400 takes it home.
$9,400 takes it home.
That's pretty good for a brand new excavator.
I'd like to think so.
Does Brandini do service calls?
I'm sure he would. He'd show up on his motorcycle with his faux plates.
Does he ride a motorcycle?
Oh yeah, yeah. He rides one to work every morning, every Tuesday through Friday.
Why doesn't he work Mondays again?
He's taking care of his children.
Oh yes.
So one of the accommodations we make for him, as
I think that's a
as we
fair
do for
accommodation.
I don't think that's unreasonable. He
No,
shows up
it's-
and works hard for the other 4 days a week.
Yeah.
Still a
He's-
40-hour week,
He's taking care of his kids.
Yeah.
It's not
Yeah.
like he's saying I'm too drunk, I can't come in.
Yeah. Well, I still showed up at work when I was drunk.
We've established you
school.
also do not feed your hand through the meat grinder.
Oh, you're right. I got
Have you ever
both.
have you ever ground meat?
Have I ever?
Have you worked the meat grinder? Like, have you made ground beef?
I've probably put more hours on that meat grinder than Ross has that fucking 11,000 hour skid steer.
So
Like-
you worked the meat.
Oh yeah,
What was that like?
it's just a big hopper. You
just
throw
keep-
them. You have these yellow totes, and you throw them in the top, and you spin the grinder, and it comes out into a bigger basket. And you throw that back in, it goes through again. And you
Oh,
put it. You put all the trays out. You're popping it on the trays, and then you stick it on the rack and send it to the front, and they wrap it and send it out.
it's double ground
did,
beef.
did they ever let you
They
work?
always.
Did they ever let you work front of house?
Yeah, I was there so long that usually a meat wrapper is a job that is reserved for
Meat wrap.
a woman. Like it was a woman's job. Whenever
Why?
I don't know, they tended to be able to memorize the codes better because every different cut of meat had a different code, right?
Mm.
And you had to know all your cuts of meat plus the code that went along with them.
How fucked up is the first day doing that?
I didn't start there, right? So I already knew my cuts by the time I was learning the codes to wrap them. So I didn't have to bug the butcher and say, "Well, what's the code or what's this called?" Right? I knew what a strip line was or a rib steak and all the different grinds and all
How long
that
did you
stuff.
work
So,
there?
I'd say between 5 and 7 years, I think.
Oh wow.
Yeah, that was my job all through high school. Then I went back a bit after university, but it's it was a gig. Pay was awful. I remember making 6.25 when I started when I was 16, but I stuck it out.
How much do you think I made on my first job when I started? Minimum wage.
Is this
4.25.
the Bob Barker over under?
Yeah, let's do Bob Barker over under.
So Chad goes first because he went last time. So
I say
425.
4.25. Yeah.
I'll say should I say 426? I'll say 475. I'll give Chad a little bit of room.
$3.
Are you
$3.
serious? Wow.
And then the attraction to land, then the minimum wage went up to 3.25. And then the attraction to landscaping was that you got $5 to stand in the hot sun and bag dirt.
Wow.
Wow. $5 an hour. That's when $5 was worth something, though.
Well, a case of
Like
beer
a chocolate bar was.
case of beer was like $18.
So what year was that?
I don't know. Long ago.
Long ago. I can't put that into Google. So we'll say 1960.
Okay, well, let's go sometime in the late 80s, 89,
Okay, my phone just died. So
87, 89, maybe.
It was
Your
3
phone
years
just
old.
died.
1989, $5 in present day. That's 12.33 today.
Below minimum wage
Yeah, it wasn't a lot.
by a lot.
But $5 was a good job. I remember when I got moved up to the landscape crew, I was getting like $9 an hour.
Hmm.
I remember when I was really young, running a planting job on the side of the 401 for $9 an hour with people that were making like $15 an hour, and I was in charge and going into the boss and being, "Hey, bro, I need to get paid more, but you're so much younger." And I'm like, "It doesn't matter. Then don't put me in charge. I'll be the guy pounding the stakes instead of the guy fucking determining where the trees go off the drawings." Except that everyone I work with can't fucking read. So
I did that. Like, I inherited a planting crew from my old boss, and these guys have planted trees for damn well 40 years. But I dropped them off. Well, they drove themselves to site, but I dropped off their machine and said, "Here's the planting plan, make it happen." And they would look at the fucking plan and scratch their head for hours and hours. And I said, "I think it goes there. I think it goes there." They could plant the trees, but they could not read a
and
drawing.
determine where the trees go.
Yeah, like
Yes.
that was beyond them. And I figured after 40 years of planting, you should probably figure that out. But it's just beyond some
Depends
people
on your drive and your urge.
that
They weren't
We have-
dreaming big enough.
We have
it
so
was.
one of our foremen is going away for 3 days before the long weekend, and he's working on a job site, and so we have another person coming in to run the excavator, and the one of the guys is stepping up to be the foreman, and then there's another one of the other guys. There's 3 guys on the crew, so the other one that's not going on vacation. I went to him, and I've known him for a long time, a very long time, and I went up to him and I said, "Dude," he said, "Yeah." I said, "Listen, for the next 3 days, you need to be on point as to what's going on. I know normally you don't want fuck all to do with being in charge. And I respect that. This guy comes in and busts his fucking ass. He's never causes me any trouble. He's quiet. He shows up. He does whatever you ask him to do." But I was like, for the next 3 days, I need you to be on fucking point till Ricky gets back. And then you can go back to being the inane person who just shovels and does whatever he's told. But for the next 3 days, I need you to fucking pay attention. Please. This is really important to everyone. And he turned and said, "For 3 days, I can do it. But then after that, don't fucking ask me again for a bit." And I was like, "No problem, man." And that's the kind of person that might not know where to put the plants.
I
But
got the
God damn it,
exact.
he knows how to put them in.
I have the exact same worker doing the exact same thing this week. I said, "Gord, this week I need you to babysit these two." And they know what they're doing. But the week before, they both got in the truck to go get a load of stone dust, so chip, like HPV or whatever you call
Yeah.
it, right? And left the site with nobody there.
And the stone saw was on the sidewalk.
Yeah, but it was at the top of the driveway, so
Wow,
and that was the long driveway.
Then it's safe.
So
Wow, it's okay then.
Mike's client didn't put it in the garage. But no, like they both went to go get chip, and the driveway was a mess. I'm like, someone could have stayed and swept or something, but instead they both chose to get in that fucking truck and go. And I
Don't
didn't
you think-
yell. A younger me would have fucking yelled and had a fit. The new me quietly said, I'm not a slave driver, but this doesn't fly. And
Did
that
you
was
tell
what
them they
has to
should have
watch.
rock, paper, scissors to see who got to go?
No, they're grown adults. They can sort that out on their own. But somebody has to stay there and
Through
work.
the airing of the grievances and the feats of strength?
I don't care how they do it. Just don't let the client catch you wrestling on the lawn.
Why not do rock, paper, scissors?
I don't care how they do it. They could have done rock,
Did
paper,
they,
scissors.
did they go? Okay, so did they go together at lunch or they went together in the middle of the day?
No, it was 2:00.
Wow, I would have probably been upset too.
But even if they went at lunch,
Mike would have been so happy there was 3 people working at his company. He wouldn't have cared what the fuck.
even if they went at lunch, it's more than a half-hour round trip, so that doesn't need to happen. Someone,
And that's if they don't stop for food. That's
And
just
that's if they don't- yeah.
and stay back.
Yeah. so that can't happen again.
Did you
But
tell them that, or did you just quietly get in your truck and drive away?
No, I told them, I'm like, this doesn't happen again.
What did they say?
Like, yeah, I understand. It shouldn't have been. I knew maybe it wasn't a good idea. Well,
I knew maybe it wasn't.
At least they're
was it
honest
not-
to you.
Was it not a good idea because it wasn't a good idea, or it wasn't a good idea because you got caught?
That's
Did
why.
you say
and
that to them?
And no, but that's obviously I was driving away. I'm not smart enough to think of that in the moment. Um,
And he likes
But
to throw out the
that's-
tough talk on the podcast.
yeah. Yeah.
And then play it to them in
No.
the car on the drive to work.
Well,
Now I'm getting my point across by listening to myself talk on a podcast and forcing these 2
Yeah.
motherfuckers to listen.
Yeah, but that does not fly here. Like I'm not a slave driver by any means, but there's expectations. And I mean, maybe it's my fault for not saying you both can't go to get material whenever it's time to get material.
So I've
But
had
I didn't think it needed to be said.
a difficulty and struggles with not that particular item. I've had 2 guys painting in the yard for 2 weeks, and at all times, only one of them leaves to go get the paint. So I'm happy. Now that makes me happy.
Yeah.
Before I just thought it was average, but now I'm actually pretty fucking happy about it. Like it makes me feel pretty good.
Instead of losing money for an hour a day, you'd rather lose it all day.
Yeah, just lose it all. Yeah. Whatever. No, but I'm talking about the decision process to. So here's an argument. Do you think that by them painting and maintaining my equipment that I'm actually losing money?
No, I was kidding. It was
Okay. No, I'm being honest.
I
Because there's a
absolutely
lot of
think
people
that.
say that I'm losing money.
No, we often work at the yard. We'll take a Friday or whenever we have time to spare, or things don't line up. We're gonna do something at the yard, and
We
don't
branded all our bins.
yeah, I think that's very
Painted, well,
important.
they repainted them all black, which I
Yep.
think is good for the life of the bins.
Yep.
And then we put gold crowns on all of them. No actual contact information or
The
any
QR
way to
code?
get hooked.
What about
No
a
QR code. There's no QR code on the bin. We just put
I think you
gold
should pop rivet a little
we-
one.
and we numbered them all. All the bins have a number now. And
Oh,
it's all in the 90s. So people will think I have a lot of bins.
yeah. Wow.
That just was numbers. I couldn't remember what numbers the fucking trucks were. I was like, okay, I know none of the trucks other than mine is in the 90s. So I said, okay, make me numbers from 80 to 99 and don't make a 93. They were like, okay. And I'm like, I know that doesn't conflict with anything else we have going on. And that was the sole basis for the number choices. The sole fucking base for the number choices. Anyways, I think we're at 2 hours. Yeah, no?
I think so.
Yeah? Okay. So is this the end of the podcast?
I think it is.
No one else wants to say anything? Get anything in it?
I'm surprised we made it as long as we did.
I know.
I felt like we did pretty good. I felt like that was an entertaining episode. I thought it was good. I don't know. I thought it was at least average.
Yeah.
I don't know how we get to below average on this podcast. This is the end of the podcast right here. It ends now.